Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever felt completely trapped by your own thoughts? You know exactly what you need to do, but instead of just doing it, you sit there, you overanalyze, and you stay perfectly still. Well, today we're exploring a fascinating explainer based on Thomas Alethea's really compelling book, 12 Steps to a Good Life. And we're zeroing in on a very specific goal here, breaking free from that paralyzing grip of our own minds. We're going to look at the exact mechanics of why we get stuck and, more importantly, how we can use a highly tactical tool, the 5-second rule, to short-circuit our hesitation and finally take some action.
But, to understand the solution, we first really need to understand the problem. Why do we always hesitate? Picture a moment that I think is pretty universally relatable for all of us. You've packed your gym bag, right? It's sitting right there by the front door. You look at it, and instead of just picking it up, this massive wave of resistance washes over you, and you sit down to, I don't know, scroll on your phone. Or maybe it's an important email you need to send. You've basically typed it out in your head a dozen times, but when you look at that new message button, a sudden feeling of dread just pins your hands to your lap. In that tiny little gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it, our brains just go into total overdrive. We are so incredibly brilliant at inventing excuses in the blink of an eye. But why? Why is the pull of inaction so incredibly strong?
Well, the source text gives us this absolutely perfect, unforgettable metaphor for this. Your conscious mind rides on the shoulders of an 800-pound gorilla. You're unconscious, and nothing changes until that 800-pound gorilla says so. I mean, just think about the sheer weight of that statement. We so often beat ourselves up for lacking willpower, right? But willpower is literally just our tiny conscious mind trying to steer a massive, deeply ingrained set of unconscious habits. Your brain is designed to be energy efficient. It absolutely loves routine. It loves safety. So doing something new or difficult or uncomfortable, that requires extra energy, and that 800-pound gorilla simply does not want to move. This establishes exactly why we get stuck and fail to act. Our conscious desires are just constantly being vetoed by the sheer gravity of our unconscious programming.
To break down this internal struggle even further, the text introduces three characters that essentially live inside your mind on the playground of productivity. First up, you've got the rational decision maker. This is the smart you, the one who plans ahead, the one who genuinely wants to do the right thing. But right next to it is the instant gratification monkey. Now, this monkey only cares about the present moment. It hates hard work, it loves comfort, and it easily hijacks the rational decision maker by saying things like, hey, let's just watch one more video, or, let's clean the entire kitchen instead of working on that big project. The monkey essentially keeps you distracted until finally the deadline gets so terrifyingly close that the third character wakes up, the panic monster. And the panic monster completely terrifies the monkey into hiding, and suddenly you are frantically working in crisis mode. Honestly, it's an exhausting, stressful cycle.
And this brilliantly illustrates the difference between how we usually handle this internal chaos versus how we really should handle it. On one hand, there's thought suppression. When we get anxious or we want to avoid a task, we often just try to suppress the thought entirely. We try not to think about it by compulsively scrolling social media or overeating or just finding random busy work. This is incredibly unhealthy, and frankly, it doesn't solve the problem at all. But the healthier alternative here is thought stopping. This is an active, healthy pattern interruption. So instead of running from the thought, you actually acknowledge it, you clearly say stop, and you deliberately replace it. It's basically the difference between hiding from the gorilla and actually training it. So how do we begin this training? How do we actually stop the instant gratification monkey and process our chaotic thoughts before they totally paralyze us?
Section: Finding Clarity with Radar.
The source material provides a really tactical mental framework called radar to help us cut through all that noise. And it chunks down into 3 very clear steps. Step 1 is reflect. You pause. You step back from that immediate reactive emotion and you simply notice what you're feeling, totally without judgment. Step 2 is describe. You put clear, honest words to your reflection. So instead of spiraling, you say to yourself, okay, I'm feeling anxious about this project right now and I'm trying to distract myself. Literally just naming it takes away its power. And finally, step 3 is respond. Now you can actually choose your course of action based on your values, not your fears. This radar concept is absolutely crucial because it creates this essential space. It builds a bridge between what we reflexively think and what we ultimately choose to do. But, okay, here is where we really have to shift gears. Because gaining mental clarity and reflecting on your thoughts means absolutely nothing if you don't actually take action. As this quote powerfully states, delay invites hesitation, second-guessing, and indecision. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Begin now. The longer you wait between knowing what to do and actually doing it, the more time you give your brain to talk you right out of it. Your brain is a master negotiator, and delay is its absolute best friend. If you wait for the motivation to strike or for the perfect time, you're going to be waiting forever. You literally have to cut off the negotiation entirely. Now, what's really interesting about this is that it introduces the ultimate tactical friction breaker, the 5-second rule. This is a highly specific tool recommended to overcome decision paralysis. And the rule is brilliantly simple. When you feel yourself hesitating out of fear, doubt, or laziness, you don't argue with yourself. You simply count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And on 1, you force yourself to physically move. This isn't just some cheesy motivational trick. It's an actual biological hack. Counting backward requires focus. It literally shifts the gears in your brain, interrupting those default thinking patterns and effectively short-circuiting the brain's hesitation loop before it can stop you. Listen closely to your rational decision maker right now. You know those moments when you know you should act, but that invisible wall of resistance just pops right up? You don't need more research. You don't need more preparation. You are already over-prepared. The exact moment you feel the instinct to act on a goal, the countdown begins. 5. You acknowledge the resistance. 4. You break the cycle of overthinking. 3. You can feel the energy rising. 2. You are completely bypassing the excuses. 1. You're right at the edge.
Move. You absolutely must physically move. This is the ultimate climax of the rule. You can't just count down and stay seated, right? You have to stand up, grab the pen, put on the shoes, dial the number. The physical movement itself is what completes the short circuit of the hesitation loop. You are stepping into action before the fear, before the instant gratification monkey, and before that 800-pound gorilla even realizes what is happening. You've completely seized control of the moment. But, if we use the 5-second rule to try and, say, run a marathon tomorrow, that 800-pound gorilla is going to wake up pretty angry and shut us right down. So we really need a sustainable approach here.
Section Ridiculously Small Daily Wins. So the crucial point is, to apply this sudden momentum to our daily routines, we have to sneak past our own psychological defenses. We do this through ridiculously small changes. Doing one stretch, washing one dish, doing one single push-up, eating one carrot. They seem so stupidly small that they feel almost completely pointless to our conscious mind. And honestly, that is exactly the secret. Because they seem so trivial, they trigger zero fear, zero procrastination, and zero distraction. But they get you moving, and action always inspires effort. Once you're actually down on the floor doing one push-up, you'll probably do 5. Once you wash one dish, you'll probably wash 3. It proves that action is always, always easier than the brain pretends it is. Remember, 1% always beats 0%. So, we've seen how our minds trap us, how to reflect through the chaos, and how ridiculously small actions can build an entirely new life. But all of this knowledge is completely useless if it just stays in your head. The real power is in the physical action. You have the tool now, you know the countdown, so I want to leave you with this one final provocative question. Right here, right now, what will you do with your next 5 seconds? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.